Hello and welcome to All for United. This is the United Daily, your Monday to Friday daily dose of all things to do with our great club. And today, of course, we are looking forward to I'm going to say it, I actually think tonight's quite a big game. It's a massive Europa League tie in the sense of that we're playing against a very, very good side this evening. And we'll find out more about what we're about as a team. Where are we at? Are we at Europa League level? Are we at Champions League level? I think this game will more or less showcase that. We've got a great show as ever planned for you. Barry and Neil join me as ever, guys. The Manchester United Chuckle Brothers, as they are well known as. How are you doing, boys?
Good.
Hi, Ben. Hello, Neil.
Are you
Ben's got a new microphone.
I've not. It's the same one as I've got every week.
Oh, well, you must have polished it because we got a special guest today.
Well, yes, because that is true. Neil's never this kind, by the way, Alex. Alexandra Jonson is with us. She, of course, is a writer, journalist, and author in Spain. Covers a lot of La Liga. So, Alex, thank you so much for coming on and giving us an insight to our opponents tonight, who I'm sure you would tell us how to pronounce their club name properly, or as us Brits would call Real Sociedad. Who are they?
Well, thank you for having me. Yes, Real Sociedad is your opponent, and they're really, really good. I don't want to scare you too much, but I think it's going to be a very, very interesting match tonight.
So tell us a bit about their journey over the last couple of years, because it sounds like that they're getting a lot of plaudits for playing some great attacking football at the moment, but they also can do a job on any teams in La Liga. Where are they at in La Liga? Are they a top four club, as we'd call over here? We've got the big six. Would they be in the big four at the moment? And what sort of journey have they been on recently to get to this stage to be playing United in this round of the Europa League?
Well, I think they are becoming a top club little by little. What it's really about is an impressive youth academy that they have. They have one of the best youth academies in Spain, but I would say in Europe as well. And right now, this entire team is the base of it is all youth products, and they are the players are all very young. This is the youngest team in La Liga. The squad is by far the youngest squad that we have in La Liga. They are some games they've even played a starting 11 with the average age of 23. And that's because the really good players are really, really young. So it's quite a new thing for Real Sociedad to become this team that can really, really challenge with the top teams in La Liga, but also in Europe. Historically, they have obviously in the 80s, they were a team that could win La Liga and did so, and things like that. But when they made the final for the Copa del Rey last season, the final that has yet not been played, it was the first time I think in 32 or 34 years that they made a final. So modern historically, they've not been a top team. They've even been down in Segunda and come back. But right now, the team that they have now, the quality of the players that they have are very, very high, and it's thanks to it's not a club that has the resources that Barcelona and Real Madrid or Atletico, so they have not been able to sign players to build the type of team that they have. They have created those players to have a team on I would say a level that a team or a club their size and with their resources normally can't have. So that's a little bit a background to that.
You put out a tweet earlier on today. Neil and Barry, you guys would love this. So Real Sociedad and Manchester United tonight, fingers crossed they both will do, having academy graduates in their squad. So United have gone well over 4,000 consecutive matches now with homegrown players in the matchday squad, which is unbelievable. As Alex was saying there, very, very proudly, Real Sociedad are now over 2,675 consecutive matches with homegrown players in the starting 11, which is an impressive record.
Yes, the thing with Real Sociedad, which I think a lot of people probably don't really know, because you see Athletic Club as this Basque club because you have the philosophy of only having Basque players that are allowed to play for Athletic. But Real Sociedad is just as much about identity as Athletic is, or even more when it comes to the Gipuzkoa players. So Gipuzkoa is a part of the Basque country where San Sebastian is in. And in Gipuzkoa, everything is about Real Sociedad. And it's also the club in La Liga in Spanish football history has had the most one-club men. So that is also a big pride for them, that for the players coming up through the academy at Real Sociedad, their dream is often to play for Real Sociedad. It's not to to go and win the World Cup or play for the biggest clubs or Barcelona, Real Madrid, as is the case in most clubs in Spain, but to actually play for Real Sociedad. They have a youth player now who's 19, and he just signed a contract for 6 years with Real Sociedad. So, and he, when you speak to him, his mind is completely that he's going to play his entire career there. So that's the kind of club it is, that identity and pride to play for Real Sociedad is very big, which is why they've had so many youth products in the history and continue to do so, because they don't run away as easily as at other academies, I would say.
Well, what we do, Alex, we'll come back to you and ask about their threats and some of those fantastic young players that you hit on a second ago. But Barry, let me come over to you first. I suppose whenever we hear about a side from a different country to ours coming to play against Manchester United, we know they're going to be up for it. We know that they're going to treat it as one of their biggest games of the season. But also, is it slightly concerning and worrying that they've got so many hungry, talented young players as well? Because you just don't know what team and who's going to turn up, do you?
No. I have to say, I enjoyed Alex's comments very much. She's actually got me shaking in my boots at the thought of playing these lads tonight. So I think as a United fan at the moment, I have no idea what we're going to get. What we know we're going to face is a very, very energetic team. Alex will correct me if I'm wrong, but they're currently 5th in La Liga. They've had some really good results. And they'll be up for it, that's for sure. And it's just a matter of what kind of team Ollie puts out tonight. And you can rest assured that they will come at us all guns blazing. And I sincerely hope that United start the game awake, not half asleep like they did in the last game. So hopefully they've woken up since then. But Sociedad are an unknown quantity. I mean, my only knowledge of them against us in European football is we've met them once before, I believe, in David Moyes' season, where we won 1-0 at Old Trafford through an own goal and drew 0-0 away. And of course, I'm hoping that we face Adnan Januzaj tonight, because I look forward to watching him not playing too well, hopefully.
Yeah, that's one of the younger players, Neil, who we've got past experience of, Adnan Januzaj. We're coming here from Alex in a minute how he's getting on. But for you, Neil, Adnan Januzaj, do you think he will see that he's got a point to prove tonight and will potentially look at turning it on?
Oh, I've got my doubts he'll turn it on, to be honest. He has got a point to prove, because he came to United with a great resume and all that sort of stuff, and he was a disappointment, to be honest. Maybe it was just too big for him, but I'm not worried about the performance. I'm not worried, the unknown quantity, a bit like what Barry was saying. And what a friend from Spain has said is a little bit concerning, particularly the way I worry about our form, because Sunday was absolute junk. My worry about Sociedad is they sound like they're much better than West Bromwich Albion. And that in itself is a worry for me. So I'm not worried about Januzaj. Am I right in thinking that my least favourite footballer of all time, John Aldridge, used to play for Real Sociedad? Wasn't he the first non-Basque player that Sociedad signed?
That's correct and incorrect in the same way. So they did.
I'll take correct. I'll just take correct.
That's Neil.
Players before.
That's Neil as a person.
So wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say that's Neil as a person, so right yet so wrong at the same time. That's who Neil is, yeah. Sorry, Alex, carry on. Sorry, you glitched out there suddenly. Yes. What was you saying?
Yeah, so I'm a Swede. This is actually interesting facts for me. The last foreign player that Real Sociedad had before they started Basque policy was a Swedish player that was called Agne Simonsson, who also who was on loan from Real Madrid, where he played with the Alfred Di Stefano. So, and then they had a Basque policy that got in, and then after that, when they broke it, then Aldridge was the first non-Basque player again.
I'd have swapped John Aldridge for Terry White.
Well, look, I suppose the two big questions I've got to ask now are around Real Sociedad and their playing style, and not Mr. Aldridge or any players that Neil is throwing at us, because they're not going to play tonight. They're not going to make a difference in the game this evening unless they're on punditry. Alex, what about those young talents that you mentioned? Who should United be paying key attention to tonight?
This is the question that is so difficult whenever anyone asks me about Real Sociedad, because I always start answering it and then I realize I've basically said all the players in the squad, because that's the thing with this team, that you don't really know what player is going to be the best player of the match or the key player of the match, because from one match to another it's different ones, which is one of the strengths with this team, that there are so many that are so good. It's not one player that stands out, and if he's not playing, everything falls apart. It's so many players, and one match it can be Mikel Merino, who is on the midfield and can be kind of the engine of the team. Then the next match, it's everything is thanks to David Silva, and then you have next match it's Alexander Isak, and then next match everyone is talking about Porto, and then next match you are like, okay, no doubt it's Mikel Oyarzabal. And that's the thing with this Real Sociedad team. And now I only mentioned a few. I could go on for even more. But there are so many of them, and you just simply don't know who is the one who's going to have that match that's going to be the player you have to stop. If we take the last match they played, it's probably Alexander Isak, but it can be anyone. And what's really important for Real in this match, I would say, is that they got David Silva back from injury, because if there's one thing that is their weakness, it is that they are such a young squad, because there is a lot of inexperience in the team. And so to have a player like David Silva, who has more experience than most players, it is really important. And for that to go through and him helping the rest of the team if things are starting to go a little bit against them. Because it's more the psychological thing than anything, because they got the talent, they got the tactics down, they got everything basically. The only thing, what I normally say about this team this season, is that their biggest enemy are themselves. Because if they start doubting themselves, that's when they get trouble. But if they are confident and they're going to go out wanting to win and believing that they can win, because that's what this Real Sociedad team is all about. It's a lot of confidence that you normally don't see in that way with so many young players, that they completely believe in themselves. Like last season, we saw them go to Santiago Bernabeu and completely humiliate Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of the Copa del Rey, a game that ended 4-3, but it could just have ended 7-0 basically. So that's the kind of dynamic you have in this team. And if you see this season when they've been struggling, it's been mental. When they had a part during a period that basically just stopped, which you wouldn't like to hear, but it just stopped, that where they couldn't score goals, where they created the most chances, I think, of any team in Europa League. They created the most chances of any team in La Liga, but they just couldn't get the ball in. And the other weekend, they won 4-1 against Cadiz. And afterwards, Imanol Alguacil, the coach, said that he was angry that they didn't score 7, because they should have scored 7, because they had the chances to score 7. So it's a very, very confident team. But as soon as they get some little bit doubts in their minds, because they are so young and a little bit inexperienced, that's where they're one of their few weaknesses, I would say, lies.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm sat here listening to Alex's fantastic insight, by the way, thinking, is she talking about Manchester United or Real Sociedad here? Because it sounds like they very much are picture perfect. Go on, Neil.
I'm on the Paddy Power app putting a bet on Sociedad at the moment. after that, I'm 20 quid for an away win at this rate.
Please gamble responsibly. T's and C's reply and all that.
Yeah. And drink responsibly as well, kids.
Yeah, that as well. Do you know what, Alex? I was looking through their squad the other day, as you mentioned. You mentioned Miguel Marino, who, of course, had some time on loan in Newcastle. And I think he done some press junkets this week saying about how that moulded him into the player that he is today. They've, of course, got David Silva, the experienced head that you mentioned. He played for a Premier League club at some point as well. And obviously, Adnan Januzaj played for the greatest club in the world. So they've got players in there who very much know how to play football. They very much learned at the top and the best level. And it sounds like it's knitting the players from that youth academy and the homegrown talent all around it, and of course those from the region as well. But you mentioned there about sort of, you hit on the starter play. They create a lot of chances, so I take it they love playing on the front foot. Yeah,
so it's a team that love having the ball and being very offensive and very attacking. What is difficult with them is to predict their starting lineups, especially at the start of the season. It was even harder because I think we were 17 match days in or something, and I couldn't find 2 similar starting lineups that they had. So it's a very fluid team. They have a lot of players. That's also one of the impressive things with them is their depth. For being a club with those resources, that's normally where if you have a really good team where you can't really challenge for the titles is because you don't have the same kind of depth in your squad as the bigger clubs have. But they basically have 2 players for each position that are really, really good, which also makes it complicated to know how they're going to start. And then they put out one formation, but as soon as the game kicks off, they're very fluid in how they play and how they move. And they play in different ways if they are defending or if they are attacking, and they switch very quickly. But they like to defend on the opponent's half, and they prefer being able to have the ball. So I think it's more difficult for them if the other team has the ball more. And where we've seen them struggle, especially in the Europa League, has been when teams have gone back and defended really hard, almost a handball defense, you can say. Where they have struggled to go through, but they also have those creative players that if they're on their day, they can do that. And in those cases, Janusaj has been actually a very, very important piece as well to kind of open up the place. So it's a very, actually I would say it's a very complete squad in the sense of the qualities that they have and the difference they are from each other. Sometimes you see teams that have a lot of quality players, but they're too similar, so you don't get that much out of it. But they're very good, and their way of playing can change quite a lot after their opponents. So it's a very difficult team to play against, I think, especially when they're on a good day. And like I said before, I think that their worst enemy is always going to be themselves. And it's going to be interesting to see how they react when they play against such a big club that Manchester United is, because in Spain, and for a lot of these players, it's a huge club to go up against.
I was going to say that, Alex. Just quickly, one final question from me, and then I'll pass over to the guys, see if they want to ask anything ahead of the game tonight. One last question from me is obviously our media here and us as fans is split. Is the Europa League important for United? How much of a big game is it actually tonight for United? If they go out to Real Sociedad, does it even matter is some of the questions that are being asked. But over there in Spain, how important is this competition for Real Sociedad, and how important is it for them to get a win over United and to proceed in the competition? Are they being billed in Spain as potential, one of the favourites to win it?
It's a huge for them. For them, it's one for these players, especially. Again, it's such a young team. They haven't experienced getting to play these big matches before. So for them, it's huge. For some of them, might be the biggest match they've ever played. Last season, when they were in the semifinal of the Copa del Rey, they met a second division team that was Mirandés in the semifinal, but just because they had never been in a final for 32 years, none of these players, who again are most of them die-hard Real Sociedad fans, had never even seen their team play for a title. So just the fact that they could take them to a final was huge. And again, on that, one thing that I thought about just now is that I actually think it's good for Real Sociedad in one way, maybe, that they're not playing this match at home in front of their own fans. Because last season in the Copa del Rey semi-final, that was built up in the same way as this match is a little bit as the biggest match for these players. That there was the incredible reception of the bus to the point where, again, the players are so young that it affected them too much, that they felt too much responsibility and pressure when they went out to the pitch. And the coach actually said afterwards that it was brutal and incredible and just what we wanted, the reception of the fans. But it hurt us because the players didn't know how to handle it. So I think in that sense, it might actually be good for them that you don't have that same kind of pressure around the match going into it. But it's huge for them. This is a big match for them, and for many of the players, it's probably the biggest they played so far in their careers.
With our form at Old Trafford, I wish we could play games, not in our stadium. It might give us a legs up as well. Let me just quickly do some shout outs, guys. If you're watching on any other platform, come over to youtube.com/all4united. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you. After yesterday's show, you helped us get over 2.2k. So please keep hitting that subscribe button. We're now on the road to 2.5. Let's boost those subscribers and hit the like button on this video as well if you love it. Actually, everyone watching right now, quickly do me a favor. Head over to that like button. Just hit it. It won't take you away from the video. Just quickly hit it and help us reach more Reds to join this fantastic community that we've got got going. Hello to Jacob, hello to Alex, hello to Paul, hello to Skeptic as well. Reese has just joined us in the live chat. Thank you guys for being in there. And if you're not getting involved in the live chat with the guys, fellow Reds in there, well up for a chat as we continue the conversation. Barry, Neil, do you have any questions about tonight's opponents for Alex?
Yeah, can we get someone else in the draw now? I am worried about tonight. The problem is that the run over from the league, and I'm not sure whether I'm still got my doubts whether the Europa League is that important at the moment, because the league form worries me, and top four is more important than the Europa League. I mean, at the moment, I think it is. I'm a bit concerned.
Can I just say off the back of that, and Barry, I'll come back over to you for your question in a second. Alex, in La Liga, are they still doing 5 substitutions, or is it back down to 3?
Yeah, no, it's still 5.
So we could be seeing a fitter Real Sociedad with more legs tonight, because United, of course, there's been so much fixture congestion. I don't know what it's been like in La Liga over the past month, but we're playing a game, or for the last 2 months, we've played a game every 3 days. And still only using 3 substitutes per game, apart from the odd cup competition here and there. So potentially could fitness play a part tonight? Would Sociedad be slightly better rested than United?
That's actually a possibility. I haven't even thought about that, but that's true. There's obviously been the Copa del Rey that they've been playing as well, but they got knocked out of this season's ones earlier than last season's ones, which they are still waiting for the final to be played. So that is actually a good point. And then, as I said, with this team, there's been discussions before that maybe it was because they played so many matches with the Europa League, the Cup, and La Liga, that was the reason why they had a period in the mid of the season now where it hasn't gone as well when it comes to results. But in my opinion, that's not been impacted really that much, because they have this, as I said before, this kind of depth in the squad where they have 2 players on each position. They more had the troubles that the key players like David Silva and Overhaul has been injured, but both of them are back now as well, and has played before this match. So I think in general, fitness-wise, that hasn't really been a bigger problem for Real Sociedad, and they're doing a lot of rotations and substitutions. So I think it might have a good point there that could be something that will help them as well.
Yeah, when you're playing against a fit, hungry group of players who are also young and, will go that extra mile to beat Manchester United for sure, it sometimes can throw you up a different result, can't it? Barry, let me come over to you, mate. Sorry for butting in.
No problem. Firstly, Alex, thank you very much. I really enjoyed your comments and your insights. I'm interested to hear that Sociedad struggle against teams that defend deeply. That's something that United have in common with them, because we also struggle against teams that defend deeply. So that being the case, we might be in for an open game tonight. I'm not quite sure. And I wanted to ask, I think in the Sociedad squad is also a player who played in the Premier League, is Monreal, who played for Arsenal. Does he feature in the Sociedad team? And also, David Silva, a fantastic midfielder. And I think that the midfield is going to be a very important part of the game tonight. And I just hope to hell that we don't pack our midfield with defensive midfield players. But we, of course, are missing Paul Pogba tonight, which is a bit of a disappointment. But I'd like to see United getting some pace into the game, going at Sociedad and playing an open game. I agree in part with Neil that the league is our priority, but we're looking for a good performance, and you want to gather some momentum. I'm just not sure what type of performance and what type of team we'll get tonight. And I do think our opponents will be playing at a tremendous pace, high energy, and my biggest concern is probably the first 10 minutes of the game. That worries me.
Yeah, Alex, Monreal and David Silva. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Monreal and David Silva, as I talked about before, with the young and inexperienced team that this is 2 key players for Real Sociedad, and I think both of them have been signed a little bit because of their qualities of players as well. But it's also been a thing for Real Sociedad to get in those type of experienced players, because it's very, very few of them in this team, because even players like Alexander Isak, who's a Swede, is also very, very young. So to have players like Monreal and David Silva, who's also played in the Premier League, is really, really important. And Monreal is a starter for Real Sociedad throughout the season. David Silva is a player that they've been missing because he's been out quite a lot with injuries, and he had COVID at the start of the season. For me, what was really impressive was when Real Sociedad played against Napoli in the group stage of Europa League, because that was kind of the big test for them to see what level they really are at, and if they can really compete with really good teams. And they went there without Oyarzabal and David Silva, who, if you're going to pick out two players, even though it's really difficult, that are probably the biggest key players for this team, it's those two. And they went to Italy and they played the best game that I've seen them play on the very, very top level. The only thing that was missing was the goals, because that's where the slump had started, where they just couldn't score, even if they kept on creating chances. So that was really impressive, and spoke for a lot of this team, that they have that quality, that even when those key players that are so important for them can't be there, they still have players that are good enough to compete on the highest level. But for sure, Monreal and David Silva and their experience and their knowledge of the Premier League is going to be key for Real Sociedad tonight, and both are going to be starting for sure.
I mean, I think off the back of that, all I can say on behalf of myself, Neil, Barry, and all the Manchester United fans listening and watching in, thank you, Alex, for making us crap ourselves ahead of tonight. I'm now extremely confident going into tonight's game. But what I will say is, Alex, that is one of the most comprehensive breakdowns I've heard about Real Sociedad. And actually, I feel like I've got a clearer picture now in what I want to see United do tonight, because sometimes you never know, especially with our record, and we're going to talk about that, myself, Barry and Neil, in a moment, against Spanish clubs particularly. You never know what side's going to turn up in competitions like this. And I actually, listening to you there, reading what I've read, I actually think we're going to see, like what Barry said, a really open game tonight. It could be a brilliant game of football, couldn't it, Alex, to be honest?
I really think so. I'm really excited for it, because when the draw was made, United wasn't in the best moment, and Real Sociedad was kind of starting to come off their really, really good moments. But at that point, it felt like shit. Real Sociedad might actually be favorites going into this match. Then obviously things have changed quite a lot since then. Manchester United has become a lot better, and more of what we expect Manchester United to be. And now I think it's. And we saw Real Sociedad going into that slump, and I was like, okay, they're gonna get knocked out by United, and now they kind of gotten out of that again, which means we're getting two sides in really, really good moments, I think, for both clubs, with players that are in their prime for the season, and that's just going to give us a really, really good football game. I think I'm going to be surprised if it's not an entertaining football match. I can say that.
Well, at this stage, I'll take a 4-4 because those 4 away goals would be absolutely fantastic. So give me whatever I've got. Just don't let us lose. Alexandra Jonson, thank you so much. Do you want to tell people where they can find you, and also find out more about some of the fantastic books you've put together as well?
Well, I haven't written any yet. I'm currently writing one book.
Got one on the way. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah, one on the way. So that one can't be found anywhere yet, about Real Oviedo. But you can find me on Twitter. Is the best place, which is at Alexandra Jonson. No H, 1 S, and yeah, that's the best place where I'm freelance. So I put out most things there if I do anything.
Lovely, thank you, Alex. Maybe we'll catch up before the second leg again and have a chat then about what happens tonight and bits and pieces like that. Thank you again, Alex. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate your time. Alex Jonson there. What can I say, guys?
That's a comprehensive breakdown.
Yeah, that's turned up the heat ahead of tonight, isn't it? Neil, let me come over to you, because I think something we keep mentioning within this is priorities. And call me old-fashioned, a bit like you wise men. Every football match I go into, I want to win. I don't want to chuck any competition. I don't want to chuck any game. And at the moment, I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at priorities. And for me, why can't we prioritise winning both the FA Cup and Europa League and finishing second? Why can't that be a priority? Why do we have to only be able to go for one or the other?
Because of what you said, there's too many games. Let if Barry wants to speak, let Barry speak.
Go on, Barry.
And priority should be finishing first, not finishing second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we know where you're coming from because, that's the harsh realities of things. I have to say, I, like you, want to win every game. I think that, if I look back to when we first started watching football, it wasn't scrutinized like it is now. So, of course, every move is scrutinized, and, any bad performance, you're able to see live as opposed to reading about it in newspapers before. So we want the team to perform well. We want the team to win every game. We want to win in style, and that's what we strive for. And of course, when we dish up performances like we did at the weekend, it's kind of disheartening. And it's such a squad game now that you have to have a squad rotation. You've got to blood some youngsters. I'm not sure whether we'll see the 2 youngsters that have been included in the squad tonight. I think it depends how the game is going, obviously. But given the fact that we're playing against a very young team, I think we might well see at least Diallo making an appearance, but I have absolutely no idea. I think when you start prioritizing a particular tournament, it's a dangerous game to play because it's all about momentum. And when the momentum is good, you get out there with self-belief. You start losing a couple of games, the belief goes, and I think you've got to trust the players you've got. We heard that Sociedad have got 2 players vying for every position. Well, in theory, we've also got 2 players vying for every position, but in some of the positions, the one player is vastly superior to the other. You've got to trust the squad. I think you've got to rotate the squad. We're starting to see a fortune of muscular injuries that are occurring, which are due to overplaying, overtraining. So, I think that's where we're at. But I want to see us going for every game, no question about it. I'm with you on that, Ben.
I think the big word you use there, which should be utilised more than the word rotate, is squad. Just because we might make some changes tonight doesn't mean Ollie is playing a weakened side and rotating. Actually, if he brings in the like of Mata, Matic, Eric Bailly tonight, Alex Tellez, that's experience. That's massive experience and players who have played big games.
I want to go off piste for a moment and just talking about
pissed.
Squads.
That was quick for you, Neil.
That was a good retort, and I can tell you, I'm going to remember that because I'm going to extract revenge for that sometime when you're least expecting it.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 months' notice.
Okay, just on that subject, and like I say, it's not the round ball. Of course, you will remember that South Africa won the last Rugby World Cup in some style, if my memory serves me, against England in the final.
Yeah.
But leading up to that World Cup, in the rugby squads, you've got kind of, they always refer to them as the dirt trackers, the sort of second string. And there was brilliant coaching with respect to that because South Africa put their so-called second string side against an Australian team before the World Cup and won the game in style. And these were the guys who were the so-called second stringers. And what it did was it elevated the performances of the first 15 because they knew these guys were snapping at their heels for their places. And that's why when we see the likes of how Luke Shaw has improved on the basis of Alex Tellez being there, etc., I agree. You've got to play a squad, etc., and you've got to get these guys involved. And I would go along with that.
So more about South Africa's rugby triumphs, Neil.
Brian Squirrel picks up a nut every now and then,
Barry's on a lag, so he's hearing everything about 3 seconds behind each of us, and there's just a stern silence. And then Barry hears something, you can just see a little grin come up on his face.
As my blood boils over here.
Neil, on just what Barry was saying there in terms of utilising the squad, again, do you agree that even if Ollie does make some changes tonight, it doesn't mean that we're not prioritising the Europa League or not going for it? It is him, like Barry's saying there, utilising the squad for the good of its need.
Well, I feel he will pick a squad. He will pick an 11 to win the game. Obviously, well, you'd hope he'd pick an 11 to win the game. But in terms of priorities, if this was his number one priority, he'd have his starting 11 out, wouldn't he? Which is possibly close to that dire performance from Sunday. But I'm with Barry. 2 holding midfielders at home, that's got to stop. And we've got to play with a bit of flair tonight. I mean, I think of the competitions that were left in, the Europa League is the least for me. I'd like to. If I was given the choice, the FA Cup or the Europa League, I'd probably take the FA Cup because I love that. I love that competition. It's brought so much joy over the years, and obviously qualifying for the Champions League through the top 4. I mean, I'm worried about top 4 at the moment. Never mind everything else, because we've lost 5 points to Sheffield United and West Bromwich Albion, and I don't know any other team that's managed to do that.
Yeah, but top 4 is not the target anymore, is it? It has to be the top 2.
Hang on, I was the one, Ben, who said at the start of the season we should be challenging for the Championship. Remember, I said we should be trying to win the Premiership, and people looked at me like I got a welly on my head. Now, for the right amount of money, that could be arranged, but we should be challenging with the champion. We're Manchester United, for God's sake. That's the whole point. But City are going to win. City are going to win the league. City are a better side than ours. We're a team in progression, but we still should be going all out to do as well as we possibly can in the league, and that should be the priority.
I understand what you're saying now and your preferences, but there's too many people having conversations about the fact that we don't need to win this trophy or we don't need to win that trophy. For me, we're in 2 cup competitions at this moment in time, and we're battling for the league. We're in 2nd place. We're battling for top 2. For us, our aim right now has to be to win the Europa League, win the FA Cup, and finish in the top 2. Anything
agree.
less than that right now is just it's ridiculous.
I do agree with that, but I think you're going to get to the point because there's so many games back to back, and like Barry said, and like you've pointed out, we only get 3 subs. Ollie's game management, let's be honest, is poor. It's very poor, and we are now starting to get these muscle injuries, and I do worry that starting 11 that Ollie's obviously set on, apart from he tweaks the front 3 every now and then, but that starting 11, they're going to get the balls run off them in the next 6 weeks, and that's the concern that everything gets blown out. I'm not saying we shouldn't try and win everything. I'm saying in the list of priorities for me, the Europa League would be the least.
At the start of the season, though, Neil, as you said there, and I understand you're not making an excuse from your personal point of view, but it's more around the issues of what we're currently having. You said at the start of the season, we've got the squad to win the Premier League. Well, why haven't we got the squad then to proceed in multiple cup competitions? Because surely that's where your squad comes into play. Tonight, he makes a couple of 2, 3, 4 changes, freshens it up, and he does the same next week, maybe rotates again at the weekend slightly with 2 or 3 players. I'd agree his in-game management isn't fantastic, but we're the only team in the league this year that hasn't played the same starting 11 in back-to-back games. He's always rotating, Ollie. It's something he really does too much of, isn't it, Barry?
I can't make him out. His in-game management I find exasperating. I don't think he makes many rotations. I think he's got blinded loyalty to the likes of Lindelof, Fred, Martial. So he's got his favourites. I suppose every coach has his favourites, and I don't think there's that much rotation. I think the areas of the team that you don't want to rotate. I mean, you want a fixed centre-back pairing. Of course, our centre-back pairing is a problem at this moment in time. You want the spine of the team to be fixed. You want to rotate around them, I guess, but it's a juggling act, and I think that he's a master of the 86th and 93rd minute substitutions.
He's the best in the world at that.
Myself very difficult to get my head around. But correct me if I'm wrong. I think in the European competitions you're allowed 5 subs, are you not?
Yes. Yeah, you are.
Bring them all on in the 80th minute, though.
So we might even see a change in the 85th minute tonight. but earlier than usual.
It's like the game against Leipzig, Barry. He rested his keeper, so he rested Bruno and Rashford from the start, and then he brought them on like the 50th minute so that they, could then have 20, 30 minutes in their legs towards the end of the game, but rotate, give other players the chance to play. I do think we've seen him rotate more than potentially we thought he would have done in the Champions League, which has been part to our downfall because some of those rotations, especially in Istanbul, should never have. The team we put out against Istanbul was absolutely baffling. I do agree. No, I agree with everything. I just love playing devil's advocate. I do agree with that.
Sorry, I think that tonight we'll see a couple of surprises in the team.
I agree.
It wouldn't surprise me to see the likes of Mata and Dan James tonight. I have a feeling that those are two players that we're going to see playing tonight. And, coming back to the Champions League, I mean, the game in Istanbul is what, that killed us in the Champions League. And that was scandalous. But we've covered that in time gone by.
So, Neil, let me come over to you. Same question for both of you. Neil, if we get through unscathed from this round, do you think we'll go all the way in the Europa League this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a competition, like we've said about the strength of our squad. If we can get through this round, I mean, they do sound like a hell of a side. Hell of a decent side anyway. I don't know how strong the Spanish league overall is. So, you look at some of the performances. I mean, Atletico seems to be romping away with their league. Why can't we win it? I think the thing that will stop us winning competitions, this is going to sound like a proper good cliche, is ourselves, and that's what stops us. And it's the way the whole squad is managed. From this point on to the end of the season, we'll decide if we're going to be second in the league, pushing City as hard as we can and winning at least one trophy. Because I do fear for Ollie if we don't win a trophy.
I definitely think, and I'll speak to someone about this earlier on, I definitely think that the easier game comes in the next round because of the way the pots work. So we've definitely got the harder game now. Barry, what about you? What do you think? Get through this round unscathed? Do you think we can go all the way?
Yes, I don't see why not. An interesting observation is if you look in the respective leagues, we are 7 points. We're 10 points behind the team above us. We were 7. Sociedad are 7 points behind the team above them, and Sociedad are 5th in the league. So they're not exactly setting La Liga alight. They've played some good performances, and whilst we've heard some very eloquent comments about them and their goal scoring abilities, let's remember we bagged 9 goals the other night. We have the capabilities of scoring. And I think that when we get onto the field tonight, United need to go onto that field, with heads held high, chests puffed out, with the attitude, let's get in there and let's get a decent result. There's some very useful teams left in the Europa League. And I think, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's get through this game. But I agree with you that potentially the next round is an easier round than this one. And it's potentially a fascinating clash tonight. As you alluded to earlier, our form against Spanish teams in European football has not been great. That's for sure. We've been more on the receiving end than dishing it out. But that's a statistic. This is a new game. And, of course, there is a return leg. But we need to get in there and put in a decent performance. No doubt about it. And remember, we're not playing at home, which is to our advantage.
Yeah, we're away first, and then aren't we home next week? Is it next week Europa League still? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. They're still doing 2-legged ties, aren't they? Unless that gets cold. Right, let's quickly go over because there's been a few injuries. So I honestly think tonight we may see a shocker, and I think that he might go with 3 at the back tonight.
I was thinking that.
But we are... Yeah, I think he could go through at the back tonight. And if he does do, I think it would be Tuanzebe, Lindelof and Maguire as a back 3. But we'll just quickly run through a joint team and go with the normal 4-2-3-1 formation just to keep ourselves safe. So Barry, Neil, would we both put Hendo in goal tonight? Would it be Dean Henderson tonight, yeah?
Henderson should be in the Premier League team for me. Yeah. But anyway, I've said that months ago.
Cool. So Henderson then, I'll take it Wan-Bissaka. Are we going to go Wan-Bissaka and Shaw on either side, or are you going Wan-Bissaka, Telles?
Telles.
I think Telles will play tonight.
Telles will play.
Right, Wan-Bissaka, Tellers then on either flank as fullbacks, and then who are we going with in the middle? So Maguire's going to play, isn't he? You're not going to leave
Maguire and Bailly.
Yeah.
Yeah, bye. Okay, cool. So you don't expect Tuanzebe tonight? No, not from the off.
No.
I think
I'll protect him a
Maguire
little bit.
and Tuanzebe.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, Barry.
Yeah.
He's gone off piste.
Do you know what I'm going to say? I think Ollie, I honestly think Ollie would rather play Tuanzebe than Eric Bailly for whatever reason. I really do, because I think he wants to nurture Tuanzebe and bring him on as a viable option for Maguire's partner. But I just think that whenever Tuanzebe and Maguire play next to each other, Maguire looks more shaky. I don't know whether it's because he doesn't trust him. He tries to overcompensate for Tuanzebe. So I think that will come into play. We're playing against a good side tonight. So I'm going to go with Neil and I'm going to go with Bailly tonight. Tuanzebe will get his chance potentially next week, but I just don't think he'll be in there. So if we play three at the back, I think it'd be Tuanzebe over Bailly. But with a back two, I think it'd be Bailly over Tuanzebe.
I think it'd be Bailly and Tuanzebe with Maguire.
You've always got to disagree with me, haven't you? Always got to disagree with me, right? What about the two in front then? Not the holding midfielders, but the two in the middle. Who are we going? Is it going to be? Are we going to see Matic tonight?
Mark will be happy.
Yeah,
Mark will be happy.
So Matic and Fred or Matic and McTominay?
I believe McTominay faces a fitness test, so I'm not sure if
you can't risk McTominay if he's there's a slight doubt about him. You can't risk him. But Mark will be happy.
Matic and Fred.
Matic and Fred.
That's my man Fred. Having a great season. I like him. I think he's a good player.
He's terrific.
Barry, can I just ask you before next week, can you come up with another fantastic rugby analogy for us? Even though this is a football show.
No,
please.
I don't like rugby.
I'm begging.
I don't like rugby.
I'm begging.
But I put that analogy in only because South Africa whipped England in the final. That's all.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, Fred in with Matic. And then who are we going for on the right and the left then? So are we going Mata and Rashford to start or Mata and James?
Mata
or
and
Diallo?
James. Mata and James.
Mata and Rashford.
Yeah, I'm going to go Mata and Rashford as well. I don't think he'll rest Rashford tonight. I think he'll want to start Rashford because Martial is looking like he faces the late fitness test as well. We haven't got Cavani. So then I think up top, we're going to be seeing Mason Greenwood. I hope we see Mason Greenwood. I really want to see Greenwood at 9 tonight.
Yeah. I wouldn't be disappointed with that.
I presume Bruno. We haven't mentioned Bruno.
Oh, we don't need to talk about who's going to play at number 10. We know that that's done. I'd
rest him.
Who are you going to play instead?
Oh,
Van der Beek's out. I don't think he's going to start Diallo. I don't think he's going to start Shaqiri.
I worry about Bruno. He's playing so many games. Look at all the games he's playing.
So would you potentially go James on the right? Would you potentially go James on the right? Mata in the middle, Rashford on the left, Greenwood up top,
and Greenwood up top. Play Mata in the 10 because he's rubbish playing out wide. He's got no pace. I've seen Milk turn quicker.
Well, and he's just back as well. He was out injured. We were all wondering where he's gone. Apparently, he was away for 4 weeks with a muscle injury.
He'll be fine at that level.
Yeah. What about you, Barry? What do you think? Rest Bruno, Mata in?
No, I think Bruno will start. I do agree that Bruno needs a rest, but I think he'll start. But I think Mata will start as well. And frustratingly, on the right-hand side, where he has the pace of a snail.
I agree. And I think that's our team. I think we've done it. I think we're all in complete agreement with one thing, though. Complete agreement with one thing. We're not going to be seeing a debut from the off tonight. Maybe off the bench, but not from the starting 11, I'm afraid, guys. I think we'll potentially see Diallo at some point. Maybe not sure.
87th minute.
One touch of the ball, and then we can all claim how much of a fantastic player they're going to be.
We should have a bet between us. Under or over Ollie's first substitution.
Or do we go with his last substitution and see how late
under or over first substitution, and the line is 70 minutes. Will he make it before 70 minutes or over 70 minutes?
Right, I'm going to go. I reckon he's going to make a change at half time tonight.
Blimey, what are you drunk? Are you drunk, my friend?
Not
Ollie
a chance.
Making a change at half time? No, I can't believe it. I'll have a stroke at that rate. Not that sort of stroke.
I'm going over. So I'll be going over. So I'm going with like a half-time
the line
change.
is 70 minutes. So under 70 minutes is first substitution, or over 70 minutes is
before the 70th minute mark. Yeah.
Really?
I'm going for that. Yeah. 100%. He's got 5 subs to use tonight. I think he's going to use a couple early.
78th, 83rd, 89th, 1 minute into injury time.
So you're going over. So after the 70th minute. Barry, what are you going for?
No, I'm going under, especially with 5 substitutes.
No.
And you know, whatever Neil says, you take as read. I'll go for the opposite. So
yeah, exactly. Well, you said it there, Barry. Whatever I say, take as read. That's that. There's your quote, Ben. There's your quote for the show.
There's the thumbnail. That's it. We're done.
The doc says whatever Neil says, take it as read. So the doc doesn't realise what he's just said. Click that for me, Barry. Ben, send that to me. That's going to be my ringtone forever. Forever.
I didn't say take it as read.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Play the tape.
Barry, to be fair, you did say take it as read, and then you said take it as the opposite. You backtracked yourself. Either way, what a show again.
Something wrong with the,
Love you, Barry.
There's something wrong with the video feed.
Yeah, there is. You're about 5 minutes behind us. Anyway, let's leave it there.
Yeah,
come on, United. Go on.
I'm not sure why.
The South African internet, mate. It always does us favours, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right, we're going to get out of here anyway. We've done 50 minutes, guys. Take care. Stay safe. We're going to be back with a Twitter reaction.
What about a prediction for the score tonight?
Now the substitution's more fun.
Yeah, no one wants to hear about our score predictions. They just want to know when all this is going to make
all the Twitter lot are going to talk about the subs now.
I want to know Neil's prediction because take it as read.
Whoa, here we go. I reckon 1-1.
Barry?
1-1.
He's nicked me again.
Yeah, I'm going 1-1 as well because we take Neil as red. Right, guys, thank you for watching. We're getting out of here. Neil and Barry back next Thursday with me. Of course, tomorrow I am doing a Jules Condé special. Yes, that centre-back that plays for Seville that we're linked with a £70 million move for. What is the hype all about? We'll find out if he's better than Upamecano. We'll find out if he's better than Bailly. We'll find out if he's better than Lindelof and if he is that perfect partner for Harry Maguire. So be with me tomorrow at lunchtime to check that out. For now, laters, guys. Stay safe.
Cheers.